Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Corrupt Crew Chronicles. I just want to come on here and make a video or maybe two. Three, four. No, but just want to come on here and go over just something that it's been on my mind actually. And I touched on it a little bit on some of the other videos, but and again, those of you who've been listening and those of you who know me, from in that circus code and everything, know that when I went in, I was a single sister. And, when I came on up out of there, I was still a single sister, no children, anything, nothing. And again, I just thank Divine Spirit and my ancestors for that so much. I am so grateful and thankful to them that I did not get married while I was in that circus code for real, because what I'm going to go through on this video or videos, because it may take more than just one, actually, is how those married couples that circus code leader, shitty one, nigga bum one, married, put together. And I'm talking about the ones who met each other in that circus code. I'm not talking about the couples who maybe they were engaged before they came in, because I'm thinking about a particular couple in this situation where they were, already together in a relationship, and then they came into the circus code and then they got married. I'm not talking about that. There were a few couples like that. No, I'm talking about they came in as single brother or single sister, and they got put together by that circus code leader, and he went on and married them because they fucked up. Those couples like that are fucked up. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm about ready to go on down the line with them, okay? But before I do, I just want to say that tonight it got back to me that the one minister was up there, and he's single. He's a single, but older. And that circus code leader used to talk about his looks and everything. That circus code leader can't talk about anybody's looks, because he need to look at himself in the mirror. He looks horrible now. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. On one of the videos that I made back, I was saying how this lady was saying, that when she first met him, that, he looked all right, talking about that circus code leader, shitty one, and that, just over the couple of years that she knew him, he just looked horrible in looks. And that was that tax lady. I'll just go ahead and put that on out there. Yeah, she met him in 2015 and I already went through that. And then I know that when I came up in there, it's like 2017, I do believe that was the time when she just, mentioned it. She was like, I don't know what happened to him. He looks horrible now. But anyway, so true. And then also with that little bastard daughter that he got, she's ugly. So he don't need to talk about anybody's looks, not at all, because that minister look way better than shitty one. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. But anyway, he was up there, and then of course, source code leader shitty one got to get up there and start talking, and it's all quiet in there. Them folks, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it real. They listen to my videos, they heard my videos, they already, not all of them, but some of them in there are about ready to get on up out of there, because they looking out and looking, okay, this all going on in this world, talking about the economy. We already know, what's happening with that and everything. And they looking at, I'm giving him my money and he is sitting here and just keep on draining me dry, but he can have everything. The stuff popping, clicking for him, but he telling me that it's not popping, clicking for me because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, he's sitting up there talking about stop lying to yourself. No, he needs to stop lying, period. That circus code leader, shitty one. And like I said, some of them folks gonna get on up out of there between now and before the end of that funky Feast of Tabernacles. They're gonna be gone. And I'm not saying a whole lot of them. I'm not saying a droves, they're gonna leave in droves. But it's gonna be some of them that's gonna be coming up out of there. And we're gonna hear about it. We're gonna hear about it. The ones of us on the outside, living our lives freely out here, we'll hear about it. Mark my words. And then also I want to get on about that scale. I'm not letting it go. No, it's like what I put on that one video, and I meant what I said about them lard asses in there, them hungry hippos is up in there, those fat asses, those water buffalo he got up in there. And I mean that. And if they don't sit here and they not losing 1 pound a week, once it's time for them to go ahead and weigh in, kick them out. And that's directly to that circus cult leader, shitty one, nigga bum one. If you don't, I've already busted up how you a hypocrite, but that's just even making you a more of a hypocrite. Mean that. For real. Now, let me go ahead and get on these fucked up married couples that nigga bum one, shitty one, Search Code Leader has put together in there. I'm going to go ahead and say this. There were 2 couples, they're no longer in there, and this is for the old timers. The ones who came in 07, 08, 09, 2010. Remember, and we now out here living our lives freely. There were 2 couples, and y'all know, I just give this description. They were twins. They were male twins. They were brothers. They were twins. Okay? Both of those marriages no longer together. And I'm just gonna, and they met their spouses, they each met each other in there. And I'm just gonna, just say that because they've been out, out of there, living their lives freely and everything. So that, I'm just gonna say that and leave it alone. Now, the first couple that I'm really gonna go in on is the one with the first assistant pastor. And I already talked about him. That service code leader kicked him out for having inappropriate conversation on the phone with the one, and she actually became a spouse of one of the twin brothers. And she no longer in there or whatever, but yeah, having an improper conversation with her on the phone. And then he went ahead and granted the divorce of she's the ex-wife now, and she's still sitting in there. They got 6 children together. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Now, this is the first fucked up couple, and I'm just gonna keep it real because these marriages ain't nothing but marriages of convenience. The ones, like I said, I'm talking about where that source code leader put them together. Okay, this particular marriage, yes, nothing but a marriage of convenience and everything. Them 2 incompatible. Okay, she, the female who was married to him, and like I said, she's got that source code leader, granted, allow her to divorce the first assistant pastor. Okay, so they met each other. It was back in actually 08 because that's when she came in and everything. And they got married in 2009. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say this, that the first assistant pastor, married her because at that time she was young and pretty. And so married her for that reason. And then she married him for status because, knew that he was going to go ahead and become an assistant pastor because at the time he was a minister because he was not married. And then also because she knew that he had that property at that location. I already talked about that on another video. So that. Now, they have 6 children together. They got 2 sets of twins. So two and two, and then two this shit individual children. Now, totally fucked up. Totally fucked up. Now, let me move on to another couple that he put together in there is fucked up. And I had already kind of touched on them a little bit, but they're no longer in there. This couple is no longer actually in there, but this is a male and a female, and they got married in June of 2016. So they both actually, the male, he came in 2007. And it was the one that I was saying how I was close, we was pretty close, just brother and sister. And when I was talking about the one video with the whore wife, Shitty too, and she looked at me and she kind of slick out the mouth, and I talked about that, and he was the brother who I was standing out there talking to or whatever, out in front when she walked past or whatever. And so him, and then the female who lived with me, the first female who lived with me, who was from the other continent, and everything, and she moved over here, and I took care of her for well over a year. I already talked about that. Them. Now, he came there in 2007. She came in 2008. Now, you mean tell me that y'all been sitting there that long? Y'all didn't talk to other. He talked to other females was in there. She talked to other males that was in there. And you mean tell me that y'all gonna sit up and get together? Again, a marriage of convenience. Because the reason why that search code leader married them is because the female wasn't working. She lazy. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it real. I'm talking about as far as for not wanting to work. Now, she is very clean. I will give her that. She is very clean, with herself and the living quarters and all that. But as far as for wanting to work and talk about, making a paycheck, no, she's lazy when it comes down to it. And see, she was bouncing from house to house as far as for in there. Yeah, she was bouncing from house to house, and he didn't have anywhere else to put her except for take him in, take her in himself, and that wasn't gonna happen. Shitty won, that nigga bum won. Search code leader ain't taking nobody in. This is some type of benefit for him. Yeah. Okay, and so anyhow, so that's why he wound up marrying them. And they went ahead and they've left out, it was years after I got on up out of there. And, I think it was like maybe in 2021, when they actually left out and everything, or let me say this, I think it was more so, it was later than that. I think it was like it was sometime in 2022. Sometime in 2022 when they went ahead and they left out together, but they got 3 little ones together. And I'm going to tell you, so of course, he got to be there. I don't say he has to be there, but I mean, if that male leaves or whatever, they get divorced, it's going to be child support. So it's like that old Johnny Taylor song, Cheaper to Keep Her. And and then I remember that we were talking about that, and when I say we, it was a group of us who we had met up, and it was Sister Keita, Brother Joe, the singing brother and singing sister, and we had actually met up, and we were talking about, this was in 2017, about, how they got married and everything. And I recall they were saying like, well, he was saying, somebody had mentioned her name, as far as for, him, dating her or whatever. And he was just like, no, talking about the male that, wind up marrying. And then, they weren't even talking. That's the whole thing. I got on up out of there in March 2016, and they weren't talking or anything or weren't in a relationship when I left from on up out of there. No. So then go fast forward in June of 2016, married them off. Come on now. Come on now. Fucked up. Fucked up. For real. I'm just keeping it all the way real. Then next, we have the funky, nasty, don't want to wash her ass per her husband, officer up in there, and the male in there who was sleeping on the twin size bed. Yes, he was. He was sleeping on the twin size bed because it was a couple of few of those brothers who were in there, and the males who was in there, they were living in renting his, and when I say his, I'm talking about that circus cult leader's home. His first home he purchased, not the one he in now, but the one before that. And those of you know, except old timers and everything, know what I'm talking about, what home and the location and everything. And it was, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was 4 of them of them males who were living in there, and he was sleeping on a twin size bed. And also he already had a little girl. When he came in, he was married. He bought his wife, but she was married beforehand. And so, of course, that source code leader with that shit coming out of his mouth saying, one husband, one wife, where the first one lives, and he was in adultery, and all, and all this and that, and everything. And so he went on and left her on alone, and came on in. Well, they went ahead and they got married in July of 2016. And like I said, fast forward, this was some years later, and it got back to us that in the marriage meetings that her husband said that she was so funky and nasty and didn't want to wash her ass that he did not want her fixing his plate. Talking about putting food on there. Didn't even say talking about cooking. Didn't even want to fix his plate. Even if somebody else cooked the food. Yeah, like that. And also he wound up to where he had to moved into her home, because she already had a home. And, of course, he paying child support and everything because he got a daughter already and everything. So, like I said, a marriage of convenience. Just fucked up. A marriage of convenience for real. Just keeping it all the way 100 for real. Now, next, go ahead and move on. And I already talked about this one couple who's up in there. That's the one male who has a trucking company. He got all them violations. He got 9 violations already on it out there, and I sent it out to some, and then he married him on off to a whore. And yeah, because that female, and I went through that on another video, she came in with a male that they had been in a relationship and had been, doing that or whatever before they got in there. And then, they was already broke up when they came in there, and they came up from Florida because that's where they had lived. And then see some couple of years after she got in there, when she's single, she went ahead and had sex with the one male that's in there who been in there since he was like 19, 20, and now he's 35. Yeah. And then she also went ahead and had sex again while they was in there with the ex-boyfriend, but now turn around, like I said, and that source code leader, shitty one, went ahead and married him on off to her. Yeah. Again, fucked up. Marriage of convenience. Next couple I want to talk about is the one that I just talked about him. He was the one with the violations on his trucking company. He was engaged to this female that's in there, and the circus cult leader be like lie, and then put her last name, her the rest her name on it, and everything. He started that up when we was over there in that ragged ass dump building they sitting in now. Well, he went ahead and married her off to this male who came in on his own, and he came in after I was already gone. So, I don't know a lot about him, but what I do know is that it's a fucked up situation. And like I said, I went through the reason why he went ahead and married her is because she's doing that fun with them appraisals for those used cars and everything. And then she was also insurance. She is also an insurance adjuster, and she still does that with the car appraisals and everything. Yeah, been reported, but anyway, yeah. So they married, fucked up. Okay. Then you have the one couple that the female that lived with me the second time. Now this is the second female that lived with me, and she worked while she lived with me the whole time. And then it's a male who came on in or whatever, and them two, and they got the little boy together. Now, out of all of them that I'm going through, I would say that they kind of the most compatible so far. I mean, just really, but it's still fucked up because they met each other in there. And they just, it's just fucked up. Then you have the one tall female who come from up north. She had two daughters. Both of her daughters are now grown. The oldest daughter is still in there, in that circus cult. The youngest daughter, she graduated from high school and went on about her way. Yeah. And she come up from up north now, and he went ahead and married her with the one male who came in, and I do believe that he had lived in California. He came in, he was watching. I remember he was watching in. It was like kind of towards the end of me getting out of there, like 2015 going into 2016, and he lived in California, if I remember correctly. He moved there and everything, and Brother Jesse and I, we talked about him, because when Brother Jesse was in there, that particular male that I'm talking about, he lived with Brother Jesse in his home before, they got married. But before that, service code leader, married him on off to the female. And so, like Brother Jesse said, somebody was talking to him about marriage and talked about the male who got married off, and they were asking, well, what advice can you give? It's single males, talking to him. And he was like, just make sure you're compatible, because Brother Jesse was saying how that the female was starting to go hiking in the mountains with him and everything. And that female he said, now when you know her to go hiking in the mountains, I was like, never, because that's not her. She does no, she's more sophisticated, and she now taking her to a good restaurant, that's more her speed. Things like that, like to the theater, which that probably can't do that. When I say theater, I'm talking about live theater, like plays on stage productions. I'm not talking about going to a movie, together, but probably can't do that. But anyhow, things like that, that's more her speed. And so, Brother just said he was just like it, some of them other, males in there who, been out in the street and everything. Cause Brother Jesse, he's older than the circus cult leader. Shit, he won. So, he been out there. He has children himself. And, lived life, before he even came in there. And so, other, males in there, was just like, she's setting him up to marry him. And yes, and, they're incompatible, just incompatible. When I seen that, I just was like, Yeah, incompatible. And like brother just said, he doesn't have that male doesn't have like any really experience, like with women, and things like that. I mean, so I don't know if it's an age gap, and I think there may be between them two. She may be older than him, is what I'm thinking. And I'm just like, she already had two grown, I think at the time, I know the oldest was grown, and I think the youngest may have not been grown yet, had not, graduated from high school. Yes, she was about ready. She was, in high school, but yeah, just again fucked up. Then the next couple I want to talk about is actually the big tall male who's in there. He came in 2008 and married little tiny petite. Okay, and her parents were in there, but they went ahead and left out. And they are the last couple that's been married. They just got married. I want to say that it was in 2022 or like at the end of 2021. But I want to say it was like at the beginning of it was in 2022. Sometime around in there, either or like the end of 2021. But anyhow, yeah. So they married them on off, and now she's expecting a little girl. She pregnant with a little girl. Whack. Nothing but a marriage of convenience. Fucked up, and just looking at them, they look like the odd couple. I mean, they look like the odd couple, just like the one I just talked about with the older. Well, I don't know if she's older than him, but the female who got had the two daughters and everything, they look like an odd couple. This couple looks like the odd couple. He all tall and just over, and she just short and petite. Small, like, and you just looking like, ooh, I hope he don't hurt her. I'm just gonna just put it like that, keep it discreet. But yeah, I wanted to run through, those whack ass fucked up married couples that Circus Code leader shitty one to put together up in there. And I wanted to go through that. Yeah, I wanted to go through that. But, and then his own, talking about Lieutenant Dummy's son number 2 with his whore of a daughter-in-law. That was a marriage of convenience because she was already pregnant, and that's why he went ahead and married them. That's why he went, that shitty one, Search Code leader went ahead and married them. And I just want to go through that them couples that he put together in there that's married like that, they met each other in there, it's fucked up. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this video short. I'll be back with another video. But until that time, I'm signing out.